To follow up on the second separate part of the spending question. The President, we've heard him say it a couple of times now. He said it on April 19th when he went to HYGO, Maryland. He said that the House Speaker talks about limiting spending. All for that, man. Let's limit spending. That's the President's quote. What does he mean when he says that? Is he serious about limiting spending, or is he mocking the House Speaker? Is he suggesting that there might be some cuts he would be amenable to? What does he mean when he says that?
So I don't know the context of how the President answers this. What I will say is I've talked to the President a lot about spending priorities. This President's made clear, you heard in my topper, there is spending we like not to talk about. Spending on big pharma, spending on big oil.
You've laid out the stakes pretty clearly here, but so far no one seems to be budging. So I wonder, especially given the clock really ticking at this point, we are just a few weeks away, at what point do you start planning for default to actually happen? Have those plans already started? Are you talking with companies?
Look, we believe, and this might be Shalanda the optimist, and I worked with a lot of those members of Congress in my nearly 15 years on the Hill. They all know the devastating results default. Many of them were around in 2011 when our full faith and credit was reduced. And so I have hope that we will find a path to avoid default. But it's our job to keep coming to you, go to the American people, and make sure people understand what this debate is about. It's not complicated. So this is what we're doing to make sure we keep that drumbeat up. And I do believe the majority of the members of Congress know that that is the wrong path to go down. Look, we saw the partisan process play out. Now we need to pivot to a bipartisan process. That's the only thing that's going to make it to the President's desk and avoid default.
You mentioned the U.S. credit rating, which was downgraded the last time we got this close to default in 2011. How concerned are you that we could see a repeat of that the U.S. could be downgraded if this comes down to the wire, even if default is ultimately avoided? Like
you heard Corinne talk about our economist report. Clearly, any of those things should concern any American. They're going to be paying more for loans in this country. It's going to take their cost of living any higher. Of course, we're concerned. We're calling on the reasonable people in this town to do the right thing. Look, a bill tomorrow. This is what we don't talk about. Congress could put a bill on the floor tomorrow.
Is blinking. So if we get to May 30th and there's still no deal, would the President entertain the possibility of invoking the 14th Amendment?
We continue to have the position that this is Congress's duty to do.
So it's not off the table?
It is Congress's duty to do, and we will continue to say that.
So you laid out how dire the situation is. Then why is the meeting with the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, on May 9th? Why not have it today?
Well, I don't know where the Speaker is and what his schedule is, so I won't speak to trying to get the leaders of the country into the same room. What I do know is the meeting is happening. I do know the President is going to make clear that default has to come off the table, that he is happy to talk about spending priorities and who you value in this country.
Thank you. Will the President go to the meeting next week with Republicans with a counteroffer on appropriations at Tuesday's meeting about the debt limit, since they're trying to merge both? Is there going to be a counteroffer on spending?
So you heard my outline of what the President will deliver. Look, I have a question for you. We're skipping a few steps. This bill hasn't gone through the Senate. I've done appropriations a long time. Something tells me those top lines in that bill, there are many Republicans who could not vote for bills that actually told the American people by line item what it means.
Is a short-term increase to the debt ceiling on the table? Is that something you could line up with the September 30th appropriation schedule?
Look, congressional leaders are going to have to figure out a way to do this. Of course, I'm sure there'll be conversations about the length. You saw the length in the Congressional Republicans' bill that would take us into this situation again this time next year. So I'm sure one of the things on the table we will have to work through is how long.